So, during your time in jail, one of the things you had said earlier that stuck out to me is you talked about how you were smoking in jail.
Yeah.
So, what's the drug trade like in jail?
So everything runs on it's pretty much politics. If there's an interracial shit happening in prison, then there's going to be a lockdown because they don't want riots, right? If there's the same race, this is where you get the kind of rules of like, hey, you know, whites will handle whites, blacks will handle blacks, Mexicans will handle Mexicans. The reason for that is, you know, when they need to be checked, your own group does it to you. The reason for that is so that the yard doesn't get slammed. Because come in a couple different ways. One, they come in from visits. The girl has 3 balloons in her mouth. You have contact visits in the feds, so you're allowed to give a kiss in the beginning and a kiss at the end, right? So you get the kiss at the beginning, you get the balloons in your mouth, you swallow them. You know, the feds are there to help you with that, with the vending machine. So there's food and drinks on the table when you get there, and you get your kiss and you got your balloons in there. And then before the end of the visit, the girl goes to the bathroom, takes them out of her vagina, the 3 more, right? And then, you know, goodbye kiss.
Gives you another smooch. And you got 3 more.
And this one's a kiss, right? So you're like,
this one's got a little more flavor.
You know, when you're in prison, all you're doing is walking the track lying about and money.
Yep.
That's what guys do in prison, right? Like, so anybody that gets any kind of contact with actual even if it's just balloons, that's
a true legend.
That's exciting, right?
Yeah.
So not only do you have dope, but you just got a little bit of So anyway, and then you come in and depending on how long the visit was, you either let it run through your system, right? And you've got to be sure that you trust your girl to get non-biodegradable balloons, because you don't want that shit opening up when it's going through your system.
Yeah, you're gonna be in
or you're
trouble.
dead,
Yep.
right? So if you're good, you just take a shit and you catch it, you know, 6, 8, 10 hours later, or whatever it is. Same thing if they think they caught you, they're gonna dry cell your ass and make you shit, right? And and that's how they find it. Or other guys, you know, they're so good at it, they just have an hour visit. They act like they're girls local, so it's no big deal. They didn't have to fly here, so they're not going to sit outside for 6 hours. They get the first one, the last one, they come in, they drink a cap full of shampoo, throw it up, and boom, they're prison rich.
Damn.
So the other way is dirty cops.
Yep.
And then the third way, you know, there's always ways. They say the thing about prison is there's always ways to do shit, right? They tell you one of the things that prison guards talk about is if you have one convict on a telephone pole with a cigarette and you have another convict on the next telephone pole far away with a pack of lighter, a match or lighter, they'll figure out a way to get that cigarette lit.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's...
Yeah, you got to be innovative in there.
Yeah.
You got to be extra creative.
Yeah, so we had my boy Damon Heath, Buzz, another good stand-up dude. He worked at Terminal Island. This was the best scam I had. He had a gate pass, so he worked outside on the loading dock, right?
Okay.
And then in the afternoons, he would work in the commissary. He was the head dude in the commissary from the inmates, right? So he'd be received. So what we would do, what the prison commissaries did, is let's say there's busted bags of Taster's Choice and Coffee Mate and this and that. The prison commissaries don't just eat that. They send that back to whoever the supplier is, and then you get replacements. So I had a friend of mine just make a box of replacements, Coffee Mate, and send them in. And Buzz he'd know, they'd come, because he told me what the supplier was, whatever. And we used to get FedEx account numbers, UPS account numbers, whatever, and make it look like it's coming from the same place, right? We even made the boxes. You could print Keefe on the outside of the box, right? So, you know, we did the same shit for dope. So it was all the same skills. This stuff would come in, and then we'd literally all go to the commissary and order 2 Coffee Mates. Well, Buzz is now in the commissary in the afternoon. So all our Coffee Mates were the ones that were loaded with weed and cell phones and fucking whatever else, you know.
All the loot.
Oh, the big one was everybody wanted these wife beater slingshots. Like, it's so funny. There's stuff that's worth so much more money, but I was actually happy with that because the stuff we brought in, I didn't want sold. Like we kept it all. And later when I'd be on different yards, right? If somebody got like, you know, a pound of like in Arizona, they got a pound of at Safford. This Paisa dude got it from medical. One of the nurses working in medical. A whole fucking pound of weed.
I can't imagine smuggling a pound into jail. Like, how do you?
They can't search them. Back then, I don't know if the rules have changed now, but their unions is they couldn't search them. The cops coming in, right? And now since they made cigarettes illegal, they can make huge money on cigarettes without risking a case. So, I mean, remember, everything is dated now.
Yeah.
I was in from 2000 to 2012, and
Yep.
I'm talking about the feds, not the state.
Yeah, so
right?
totally different ballgame.
Yeah, well, some of it's the same, some of it's different, but, just to be clear, so people understand my frame of reference, because I don't know everything. I only know what I know.
100%.
I don't even know what I don't know, but I do know a few things I do know. So anyway, I bought the whole pound because I didn't want it sold on the yard. Because if it gets sold on the yard, then fucking everybody's smoking, and guess what? There's going to be
You're all fucked.
piss tests everywhere.
You're
This
all
way, I bought the pound, right? And we kept it amongst ourselves. My boy Mikey, fucking great guy. He controlled it so where we didn't end up with a bunch of piss tests, and you could smoke legally, basically. You could smoke and not worry about, I got to keep a jug of water next to me at all times, right? Because you can beat the piss test if you know that it's coming, or you suspect that it's coming. You drink 2 of those big jugs of water, and you get 1 or 2 pisses off until it's clear, and then there's not enough CBD or in a clear piss for it to have enough weight to test dirty.
Yep.
Right? So
you just got to dilute your pee enough.
So that's funny. In MDC, right, this was one of the craziest things I saw. In MDC, when you're fighting your case, they call you for piss test, right? A bunch, 10, 20 guys will end up down in the visiting room. Okay. And so everybody, and most of these guys are dirty, because MDC's even more condensed by floor than prison yards, where you have units and you got the whole yard, right? So most of these dudes are dirty because it's rats, and we're all down there, right? And we've all you heard your name called, so immediately you threw your jacket over your door. The cop's coming. You're like, hey, I'm taking a shit. I'll be right out. You're not taking a shit, dude. You're pissing and you're fucking drinking water like crazy. But you don't have time to piss again, so you got to go down to the visiting room, right? So you're all down there in the visiting room. One day there's this dude, Shitty Mike, talking about, oh, man, it's crazy, man. I heard motherfuckers are down here pissing on the floor, and then fucking, da-da-da, this is the visiting room, this and that. And there's like 5 of us, literally, while he's saying this, pissing on the floor. So that and then you tell the cop, after you got a couple pisses off on the floor, you tell the cop, hey, I'm ready. You go, you give him a clear one, and you're passed. Well, then you come back down to the visiting room, right? And, if I knew somebody who was sitting in that area where they put you for piss test, I'd tell him, I'd be like, bro, don't let your kid be crawling around on the ground over there, move, right? So most of the people who knew what was up knew not to sit in that section that they put you there.
Don't sit in the pee corner.
Yeah, and then every now and then, right, but who they don't tell is the fucking rats. So you see the rats over there more often than not in that corner.
That's part of their karma.
And so the guys are all kind of looking at each other across the room, kind of, yeah, smile. We're not going to tell him nothing. This is a normal guy. Somebody's going to make their way to tell them. You don't want somebody's kid, even if they vacuum and clean. You don't want somebody's kid crawling around. Well, that's a fucking informant or a child molester.
That's a line,
Yeah, child molester. And the cops got it too, right? Because they'd put the PC dudes, the child molesters, and the rats in that area more often than not, right?